It's said history is written by the victors. Hard to imagine anyone claiming victory after the fall. The new world history would be written by survivors. But with so many competing points of view, authorship became contested. All started in Louisville, where I saw my first word wall. No one knew who built them, but they'd been springing up all over. People were adapting to life without technology. But what I saw next would completely change the way I saw the world. When the New World historians pulled up in a fully restored locomotive, I knew immediately they were a force to be reckoned with.
Hey, my friend, how'd you like to help us make history?
His name was Arnold Schaefer. He used to teach at the University of Maryland.
Department chair of anthropology with a PhD in political evolution.
Said he'd always been a steam train enthusiast.
Imagine if we just poured all of our efforts into developing steam power instead of petroleum.
Took him a few weeks, but he finally got an old steamer up and running. He spoke to people along the way, found a common preoccupation among scholars, teachers. They all wanted to know what happened. What caused the fall?
I told them we should write a new history of the world. They all thought I was kidding. I most certainly was not.
Using the word wall, they circulated newsletters reporting what was going on in different parts of the country. I was impressed how much attention to detail they poured into their work, and they were impressed by my efforts. Spent most of the day telling them my story, what I'd seen and heard. Arnold asked if I wanted to stay. Said he could have me in Seattle in a month. Told him I'd sleep on it, but for the first time, reaching home felt more like a reality than a dream. And the thought of returning with an explanation for everything? That was the best of all worlds. But like I said, there were a lot of competing points of view out there. Some that refused to be ignored. Arnold's offer to join his group was more than just a quick way home. It was a faster road to the truth. There were lots of theories about the fall, but the New World historians actually had hard evidence to support theirs. Initially, Arnold and his team, like many of us, assumed it was terrorism, Al-Qaeda or one of those groups.
But our research proved otherwise. As you can imagine, the Pentagon was a treasure trove of information. It took us weeks to wade through all those hard copies of critical documents, but we finally found the smoking gun.
What they discovered was a highly classified black box weapon, utilizing a global satellite network. It was a new kind of bomb, just like Mr. Tanaka said. Only this one didn't blow things up. It produced a massive electromagnetic pulse, a failsafe designed to disable incoming missiles. Of course, if the whole satellite network was activated, all technology would also be disabled by the EMP.
Except at hardened structures, which means those who control these sites now have immense power.
Arnold conceded this theory was only a work in progress. Still didn't explain the people. But it raised a very troubling revelation. Our own government caused the fall.
Who pushed the button remains a mystery. But we believe there was a secret cabal inside the Pentagon behind everything.
I showed them what I'd found on the Speaker of the House, Jack Hastings. Thought he might be involved in this secret cabal. But Arnold said Hastings was simply the target of a political smear campaign by a rival.
Beware, my friend. There is a great deal of disinformation out there. Case in point, the contrarian.
Arnold said the guy had accosted them, espousing a preposterous theory. He told me not to worry. Crackpots like this guy were usually harmless.
But no matter how great the opposition, the New World historians are committed to printing the truth. Hopefully with your help, Russell.
I told Arnold I was in, that I'd join the historians. The world had already proven to be a dangerous place. Figured at least this way, I'd be fighting for a good cause. Unfortunately, the road to the truth was about to become very convoluted.
You're coming with me.
The New World historians offered me something I'd been searching for. Hope I'd get home. Hope I'd find the truth. But all hope seemed lost after I was kidnapped by the Contrarian. He was all worked up, told me if I didn't jump, he'd throw me out the window. I asked him what he wanted. I tried to connect with him, but he wouldn't tell me anything.
No, can't trust you yet.
There was no reasoning with him, so I tried to appeal to his conscience. Please, I have a wife.
Yeah, and a daughter. I know all about you. Your name is Shoemaker. You're walking to Seattle, but first, you're gonna help me stop the historians.
He didn't explain how he knew me. Not then, anyway. But he did explain how he met Arnold, offering a completely conflicting report.
I was such an idiot! I saw their flyer, thought I could trust them, with their big brains and fancy words. But when they realized how much I really knew, they dosed me with sodium pentothal. Made me spill everything. How the event was planned thousands of years ago by an international consortium of billionaires. How I'd been collecting proof on my blog months beforehand. And that's why they killed technology. But they didn't really want to hear the truth. They wanted to suppress it. And people like me along with it.
I told him my experience with the historians had been less confrontational. Somehow, he took that to mean I'd been brainwashed to believe their theory about the fall.
Why would a secret cabal out for power wipe out all the people they're trying to control? It's ludicrous.
But they did have some compelling evidence that seemed to prove their theory. He said he had evidence that proved his theory too, and I'd see it soon enough. I had no idea where he was taking me. Far as I knew, I was on my own.
Get on the raft.
He assured me he'd made the trip several times, but never with two people on the raft. The Ohio was a fast-moving river. I knew there was a strong chance we weren't gonna make it alive.
Don't think I won't do it. I will. But when we get to the other side, I'll show you my evidence.
I was about to learn that some people will actually die just to prove their point of view, while others will kill. Finding the truth was not easy. It was elusive, required an open mind. The historians, with their academic approach, dismissed information if they couldn't trust the source. But in a world with very few sources of information left, all points of view, no matter how crazy they seemed, had to be considered. Which is why I tried to give the Contrarian the benefit of the doubt. You seem to know a lot about me, but if you want me to trust you and judge your evidence fairly, I need to know more about you. We drifted out there for a while before he finally responded.
Luther. Heard about you from Luther Gates.
The world had become very small. Turned out, the Contrarian met Luther at a New World historian whistle stop in D.C.
Luther told me what you did in New Eden. How you were looking for answers too.
It was then I realized there might be a real human being hiding behind those shades. Turned out he wasn't always so paranoid. When his mother died on 9/11, he began digging for the truth beneath the headlines. Eventually, He fell down the rabbit hole, started seeing conspiracy theories everywhere.
There's a whole nother reality most people can't see. Or they're just scared to see it.
I didn't realize it at the time, but he wasn't just speaking in general terms. He was directing his comment at me. I remember a thought ran through my head.
Help! Can't swim!
What are the consequences if I get involved? And what are they if I don't? I told him I'd save him on one condition, that we'd go back to shore and he'd let me go. Truth is, I would have saved him anyway, but he didn't know that. Then, just when the situation finally seemed under control,
Russell! Are you all right?
it was comforting to know the historians had come back for me. But the contrarian didn't share my point of view. He said he'd shoot the rest of them if I didn't turn the raft around. In my quest for the truth, I'd mistaken vulnerability for humanity, and in the process, traded a good man's life for a bad man's life. Conspiracy theories defy conventional wisdom. They promote a diluted logic in an effort to explain reality. But beneath the delusion is nothing more than a basic need to believe. The contrarian needed me to believe his theory for reasons only he understood. All evidence told me the contrarian was psychotic, living in a dangerous fantasy world. And the historians were my only real hope. Figured all I had to do was stall until they could rescue me. The place was pretty much as I'd imagined, dark and creepy. When the contrarian said he'd show me his evidence, I realized just how paranoid the man really was. He had his evidence on him the whole time. I couldn't believe it. That whole river escapade was just a test to see if he could trust me. I had no idea what I was looking at. But then something caught my eye. Parthia Group. The name dredged up a memory from weeks earlier. A line I'd seen on Jack Hastings' travel itinerary about a PG meeting. But before I could even consider that connection, I saw mention of the word wall, how it was used to communicate with PG field operatives. I could only assume the letter was just a forgery, a hoax, because it looked like it had been laser printed sometime after the fall. But that was impossible.
Paul. My name is Paul Krantz. Arnold. Covering up for Parthia.
At that moment, I honestly didn't know what to believe.
Where's the letter?
Shoemaker will stop you.
I finally realized Paul had trusted me with his most precious possession, the truth, about himself and about the fall.
Find that letter. Now.
In a matter of minutes, my whole point of view had been turned upside down. The letter was real, and the New World historians, they were every bit the threat Paul had warned. That's the thing about conspiracies. Sometimes they're true.